Got it.
Right, everyone. Getting all of our technology sorted here.
Yeah. During the challenging season of retrograde in
exactly.
Well, now in Taurus, but was Mercury gosh, you see, that is so Mercury retrograde in my 12th house. I couldn't even say it. Mercury is in retrograde, but we just transited into the sign of Taurus, but it's going to go back into Gemini. But never mind. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes, okay. So actually, Madeleine is raring to go. She's just like, let's just get this party started. We were talking briefly before going live about all of the energy that's at play. For those of you who are not familiar with us, I am Amalia Natalia with Karmic Kindness, and joining me is the one and only Madeleine Parker, the goddess of astrology herself, who always gives that feel-good sort of vibe to what her forecast, which is one of the reasons why I love her so much, and her energy that she shares, even when the astrology might feel challenging. And we've had quite a few challenges over the course of the past few weeks. This eclipse season has rocked some worlds. Definitely what I've been feeling and noticing within my circles and my clients, my friends, and my own personal life is that it's almost like some areas of life have been shaken down to the core. You know, it's like you really are having to get crystal clear on what's important to you, what's aligning with you, what's not, and any resistance to letting go of or releasing those things that we're holding on to so tightly just creates more tension and friction in our life. You know, so it's almost like, you know, like if you're sanding something and you want it to be smooth, you're going to use like maybe you're going to like kind of get in there and really just get it done. Versus if you just go really slowly and you want to sand it, it's going to take a while. I mean, you'll get there, but it's going to be more of a process. So for me personally, I feel like, you know, there's a lot of structures that are being shaken. And even I feel like, you know, I think just even health, like those sorts of things. Like I have not been under the weather in, I can't even tell you how long. And just this week, like I caught a little something. And so it's like, ooh, what is this revealing to me? You know, what do I need to know? What do I need to learn? And maybe I just need to take some time and rest. You know, I've been going at 1,000 miles an hour. And I think you mentioned something about that, Madeleine, about how this energy is really encouraging a lot of us to rest and to just kind of go within and just be quiet. You want to share some of your thoughts on that?
Yes, it's a very, very interesting astrology for the next few months because of what's going on in the house of Taurus. So wherever you have Taurus in your chart is going to be incredibly dramatic because we've got Uranus conjuncting the nodes in the house of Taurus, in the sign of Taurus. See, just so you know, I've got Mercury retrograde right now in my 12th and 11th house. So 12th house Mercury retrograde is challenging, especially when it moves into the sign of Taurus, because Mercury in Taurus is debilitated. So I might be stumbly. So I got to take it slow. Where was I?
Taurus in your chart is going to be dramatic.
This whole month is going to be in the next couple of months until Uranus actually makes that contact with the north nodes, and I think it's at 20 to 18 degrees Taurus. There's going to be somewhere in everybody's life some sort of mega shift and turn into your destiny. Now, the nodes and Uranus and the nodes conjuncting is a rare conjunction because the nodes is an 18-year cycle, Uranus is an 84-year cycle, so it would have been 84 years ago, before most of us were born, that this will have been in this exact degree at this conjunction. So there is going to be some very significant shifts, and so this new moon and the Scorpio eclipse, because it's at around that point, because we're looking at the sort of late mid degree Taurus, which is where that Taurus eclipse happened, and the Scorpio eclipse just happened at 25 degrees Scorpio, which is opposing that Taurus degree. So Mercury's in retrograde right now. Sorry if I'm jumping around, but Mercury is retrograding to that point of 26, 25 degrees, which is where that Scorpio eclipse was going, and then going direct again. At that point, it's squaring Saturn. So bringing that all in one sort of story, that would, and just to throw in Mars and Jupiter conjuncting, so there's a really strong motivation energy to go forward. But depending on where this Mercury retrograde, for instance, for me, it's in my 12th house. So it's pushing me to go really, really introspective, to really, really soul search, to really reevaluate how I want to go forward. I'm Cancer, so I'm about to have my solar return in my ascendant. So it's like really reevaluating how I'm going to initiate this new cycle in my life. So there's a real pivot, and a lot of what happened around that Scorpio eclipse is going to be information around that came through, because it was squaring Mercury, I'm pretty sure at that time. There's some sort of a connection to what happened during that eclipse to what's happening in this new moon, communication around that. That will be a significant factor as to shifting decisions or making a shift in a choice, which pivots you the right way. So whatever happened during that Scorpio eclipse created a crisis, or information came through that triggered you, had you bring up a deep fear, and now there's a resolve. Now with Mercury retrograde, it's going to sort of come back to that point and readdress it and fix it. Because if this is related to something that needs to go forward, then the toxicity around that experience has to be communicated around. Let's say you were in a relationship, you got triggered. Now we're going to come back and talk about it and decide whether the relationship goes forward, or whether now you do tilt your entire destiny, because this is the sort of astrology where everybody's destiny and purpose is sort of becoming more stepped up, more clarified, and we're going to see our direction clearer. So, but that's going to come after the 6th, when Mercury stations direct. There's going to be clarity around how to take things forward. But during this retrograde period, you would have had to revisit, rewrite, redo, reinvestigate, recommunicate, retalk, to resolve and enabling whatever that is around, because it's fated to continue going forward. Does that make sense?
I do want to go back to kind of where you started with the with Uranus and the nodes, contact with the nodes, because I feel like that has a pretty significant, that's going to have a pretty significant impact. I feel, and so let me make sure that I'm understanding what you just said too, and then we can maybe touch in on the nodes, because I feel like that's part of the story too.
Yes.
So, from what you were sharing, you're like, basically the Scorpio eclipse, that was that moment of like, oh, here's a little area that's not feeling so good, that's not quite working out. So now
blockages. Yep. Keep going.
So we've got that energy. So that was revealed to us in this 2-week period.
Yeah.
Now we're coming up on the new moon, that completion of that cycle. And this new moon is going to then allow us some communication around whatever that is. So you use the relationship as an example, being able to communicate around, this was an issue. How do we go forward, or do we not go forward? Whatever that may be. Then how, and likely the best bet on that is to wait till after Mercury stations direct, versus deciding, oh, well, it's the new moon, let me go like have this conversation right now. It's probably not wise. Like let that be for a bit, wait till Mercury stations direct.
Yeah, because I think some of what's going to happen during that new moon, and this happens in moons and full moons and new moons, is there's an intensity, because it's related to that position there of the Scorpio. So there's some sort of an intensity around communication, because Mercury squaring Saturn at that time, that brings up an issue around commitment, around your commitment to something, around the long haul, around doing it right, around what was blocking, and it may continue to be blocked. Because that square continues after the new moon for a while. So really things clear up mid-June, but you really don't want to sign any contracts or make any commitments. And like a lot of times, if a person comes in from the past and it is to resolve an issue so you can go forward, it may not necessarily mean that that's the right person, because Scorpio can mean addictive or can be kind of toxic, but it could be so that you really learn that lesson and you do resolve that and you really have released that toxic patterning in relationships or something. But it's not going to be easy. A Mercury Saturn square during a new moon is challenging, because it's you having to deal with something you don't want to deal with, because Saturn is saying you have to deal with it. This is something you didn't talk about before that needed to be talked about. It's like a maturing. You're going to grow up. You got to grow up about something here.
Yeah.
And Saturn is what's why it's a malefic, because you've been escaping that. You've been not doing it. You've been not dealing with it. But because this is important to your long haul, you got to look at it and you got to redo it. So that's why a lot of people don't like retrogrades, because it's the reason you have to redo it is because you didn't do it properly in the first place. And the reason you didn't do it properly in the first place is because you didn't want to.
Which, hey, we all go through that.
Yep.
All of us, we have those little areas where it's like, I'll skip it. I'll deal with this later.
It's easier just to escape it and not deal.
Yeah. We'll just kick the can down the road. So
a lot of times we aren't emotionally, because opposite Capricorn, which is what we're talking about, that energy Saturn, opposite, you have to have emotional, there's a balance between your emotional center and your career, because Capricorn is career and status. And there's an emotional component to being stabilized, because you have to have a balance of the two forces. So there's an emotional, because Scorpio is so intense, it got in there and revealed your emotional instability, lack, whatever emotionally is not stable within you that cannot support a strong, because Cancer is the bottom of the astrology chart. Capricorn is Saturn is the top. So your emotional world is what truly supports your successful. It's the true foundation. It's the fourth house, four legs, support a table. So the stronger your emotional center is. So these difficult challenges are really sort of, so you mature emotionally, and you can then support this new project, there's a certain amount of emotional strength needed that Scorpio full moon would have triggered for you to grow, and it's not easy growing Saturn. People don't like it.
Yeah. So tell me, how does this all tie back into the Uranus node contact?
It's the buildup, because it's the buildup where we're headed, and we're being driven by Mars and Jupiter conjuncting to really motivate our Jupiter to really sort of step out and take because most people right now have, because of the Saturn Jupiter conjunction in 2020, have put at least their foot into their true calling mission, what they really are here to do. Like, people have really woken up to that being an important part of being alive, and have initiated that path for themselves. And so now that journey continues, and Jupiter and Mars is going to really motivate people. It's Jupiter and Mars are conjunct right now. It's like people are going to be feeling really, really revved up and really motivated. You're going to feel the drive. You're going to feel inspired, and it's an energy you want to be careful with. It could be overdone very easily. Jupiter's an energy that can overdo things, and then Mars, you put fire behind that. That's just like, it could be violent on shadow aspect, but you want to be careful, in these energies, because even when I was driving, I just felt the sudden urge to go fast, and it was just like, whoa, because I got a lot of Jupiter in my chart. So there's this push energy to go forward, but but at the same time, we have to readjust or realign. It's almost like, to go forward, we got to click into the right gear. We got to get things geared up right and into the right placement. And we're leaning up to that, because consciously we can't really see around the corner. We're not fully aware of how our destiny is being unplayed. And so we can't see around the corner, but we can see with this conjunction in Taurus of the nodes and Uranus, that there's going to be some sort of major thing that occurs, that shifts, that continues us to continue to pivot us towards that way, but it will be very dramatically and clearly happening at that point. Does that make sense? So we're building up to this big shift in the house of Taurus. I'm really fascinated by what that big shift is going to be. It's going to be in technologies. It could be the finances. There could be a drop. It could be negative. I'd have to pull the chart for that, but there could be a financial, some people see a financial collapse. I don't think so. I think it's going to be good. I think we're really strong. I think we've had a lot of really strong transits, because a lot of these energies are seated, and you can't, a lot of times when I do card reads for people around this time, people think we're still struggling, it's still tough. You can't really see this very verdant, abundant growth that's occurring yet. We're still not fully aware of the abundance that our struggles has actually materialized, because we still have this mentality that we've got to see the result of the instant gratifications. So this is like non-instant gratifications coming through aligning and adjusting, and because we think we know how it's all supposed to be, but the universe is saying, no, it's this way. We got to be more fluid and liquid to how it's going to materialize. If that makes sense.
And what's the timing on that? This is obviously after the new moon on the 30th.
Yeah, in fact, I was looking right now. Should I share?
Yes, let me make sure that you are able. Give me 1 moment.
Okay, I'm going to share my, oh,
there we go. You should be able to now, Madeleine.
great. Okay, so here is June 3rd. This is the actual moment. Well, actually, sorry, no, this is when Mercury stations direct, June 3rd. Okay, so that's good for everyone to know, but you don't want to make any decisions till at least June 6th, or sign contracts until out of that shadow station period.
Which is 2 weeks after, by the way.
Well, is it?
That's, yeah.
Say that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the rule of thumb that I was taught, is the 2 week pre and the 2 week post.
Yeah, that might be right, because it is considered that things are going to be much better mid-June. So
yeah.
take your time making decisions, signing big contracts, take your time.
Yeah, I think as long as a few days after Mercury stations direct, if you really have to, you're probably fine. But if you really can wait for the full 2 weeks or so, why not?
Well.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Now I'm going to go ahead a month or two here. So I think we're looking at August is when Uranus is at 18 degrees Taurus and the nodes are at 18 degrees Taurus. So we're looking at August 2nd.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Day after my birthday.
I'm going to do a lot of studying on that transit because I'm very curious. I'm going to look back in history as to when it happened before. But when we have big transits like that, anything you have in your chart, that squares my Saturn. So my career is going to probably take some sort of major turn. My Saturn is at 19 degrees fixed signs. So whatever you have at fixed signs around that angle are going to have a pretty dramatic shift and change. But it doesn't have to be negative. Squares don't always mean negative. They just mean action, things happening, shifts, changes. It can be argumentative. A lot of times it comes with frustration. It can be arguments because people resist it. So
what I think is interesting is that you're bringing this up now, and it's still a couple months away, in that just for the awareness of whatever's coming up for you right now, from the 2 weeks ago with that full moon, and now with this new moon, what are the themes that are showing up for you? What are the areas of your life that are feeling a bit uncomfortable? Where do you feel like you need to take some sort of action to tweak something or change something in your life because it's not working out quite the way you'd like? Or do you need to let go of that vision of how you want it to work out and be a bit more flexible? Like there might be another path that you don't see, whatever that might be for you. It's, I think, going to be very personal, individual for each person.
That's right. You want to look at where you have where Aquarius covers your chart, because wherever Aquarius covers your chart is where you've been experiencing blockages. And wherever you've been experiencing blockages are going to go forward mid-June. It's going to be total relief. You're going to be out of that block. You're going to be out of this stuck thing. You're going to be out of this. So somewhere we're feeling stuck and trapped by Saturn in the Aquarian house. And then communication is going to come in that forces you to adjust something. So it releases that stuckness. And you're not going to like it. Like we said, during that Scorpio thing, you know what I mean? The reason there's a stuckness is because something in your energetic psyche is creating a blockage. So there's going to have to be some sort of energetic shifting of that. because the universe is continuing and your blocks cannot maintain. The universe saying, too bad. We're expanding
right.
through you and around you. So you get with the program, you know.
So Madeleine, did you want to share the new moon chart really quickly, just so everyone can kind of see
Sure,
that?
this is it. Yep.
And
So,
then we can jump into the signs. But I think it's interesting for folks to see exactly what's going on, you know, because especially whenever there's these clusters or stelliums in this case, and with some of the planets, where everything's all in like one hemisphere.
Taurus, Aries. Yeah, they're all stuck. At least we're not we were stuck in between the two nodes, which is really dark energy, which is not which was tough energies, but now we're out of that, which is great because there's the node and the south node is here. The south node is in Scorpio, right at that ecliptical point that we had the last eclipse on. Now we've got Mercury and the sun on the other side, which is much better. It opens things up. But we've got this Uranus, there's Uranus coming up to the north node. There's Mercury back into Taurus. It's going to go back over into Gemini. And then we do have Venus moved into Taurus right now too, which is nice, which is a good thing. There is some good stuff to look at too. We've got Mercury still trining Pluto, which means all these adjustments and challenges and blockages and frustrations taking you, because Mercury at the same time, which is the ruler of this eclipse, is trining Pluto, which means there's a death and transformational experience that's occurring from this that's going to make you more wealthy, better in romance, better love. I mean, there's a good thing coming on the other side. Now, it's funny when you were saying at the beginning of this, I'm a really positive, or I like to think of myself not positive or negative. I like to say, I'm just telling you the story of how this is all going to open up. And it is part of the story that we are evolving and headed somewhere really great. We just have to make we just process it as negative. There's a Shakespeare saying, it is neither good nor bad, but thinking that makes it so. And astrology is like, it's really not super great. I mean, there's some wonderful transits and really challenging transits, but really where we're headed is a balance of the two, abundant balance, forward motion to expansion. So it's always really towards good, in my opinion. So anyway, so there's that. Yep. See, Mercury squaring Saturn at the same time that Mercury is trining Pluto. So it's for your abundant good.
Well, and I think too, just to piggyback off of what you said a moment ago, is that, you know, I think when it comes to the transmission of energy and the forecast that we give and kind of the energetic vibes, if you will, of what's coming up, it's also in how you present it. And I think that you do, Madeleine, have a gift of being able to present what's actually happening in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming or scary. Good. You know, even if it's a challenging aspect that is coming up, it's like, this may be a bit uncomfortable, but it's moving you towards what is going to really align with who you are, which is going to bring all these wonderful things to you. So it's kind of, you know, there's a life.
It's a journey, and you know, astrology is sort of like trying to help you there, but the journey in the 3D comes with this malefics and challenges. It's the universal way, because we're trying to balance between the reality in the two worlds, the ethereal world and the material world, and astrology is trying to help us do that. So and you know, these transits that we talk about that are really challenging, like these squares, are more challenging dependent on your self-control. Like, for instance, it conjuncts this eclipse conjunct the Algol asteroid or star that is sort of evil or dark or negative. So you might have this compulsion to be negative or do something mean or to get angry and to lash out because of that Jupiter Mars conjunction. But how much control do you have over your impulsive anger and how much control do you have over your words and your thinking? You know, so it's like you may have to adjust that, but it might come up and you're aware of that aspect of yourself, of wanting to be more harmful or lash out. Or you do it because depending on how much self-control you have over your fire energy, because I love looking at that in people's charts, whether you let it out or whether you restructure it,
Yeah.
put that energy into your constructive creative projects instead, and focus into your expansion and divert your mind off of that. That's a big thing about this. With Mercury being in retrograde, we really are looking at how we think, how we talk to ourselves, and what we allow ourselves to think. So if there was a trigger that was toxic and it was triggering your issue, you've got to learn how to just knock that off, like not allow yourself to have those attachments, detach, be strong. This is about taking your mind into your own hands and Mercury and putting it towards the true focus, which is your abundant future and what you're here for in your Jupiter mission. So it's kind of like that, like gear it to, or put that energy into the right thing.
So shall we get started with the signs?
Let's do it.
All right. So
I'm going to stop sharing so
Yes,
we
perfect.
can look at, so you don't have to look at my boring little chart, which I have to look at because I get lost without it. Where'd you go? Oh, I'm going to shut this down. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Is that the right one, or is that the PDF? Okay, great.
All
so
right.
for Aries, now it's kind of Aries. We're going to talk about the Taurus house because that's where a lot of this, crazy stuff is happening. So for you guys, well, first of all, the Taurus, this new moon is in your third house for Aries. So there's communication, arguments, because we got to throw that stresses. You may have to redo a contract. You may have to, there may be a problem from a contract from the past coming back involving arguments or something with somebody that may come up. You could get an argument over an issue that has been reoccurring with your siblings, or a neighbor could come back up that needs to be fared out, that needs to be found or resolved for, so that you can go forward in your third house. You've got Taurus in your third house. Taurus in your second house. So this is going to be financially beneficial for you. You're going to get over your pride or feeling of control. Also, when anything is squaring Saturn, there's control issues. So it's like you're going to let go of some sort of a control issue over an issue you have with neighbors, siblings, communication, emails. A new moon in the third house in Gemini. By that point, Mercury's back into the sign of Gemini. Oh, wait, that is it during the new moon? Yeah, Mercury, where is Mercury during the actual? No, Mercury, sorry, during the actual new moon, Mercury is still in Taurus. So there's finances involved, hashing out some agreements, because third house is contracts, agreements, businesses, communication, busy time, reevaluating, re-arguing, renegotiating some sort of a contract. And now you're not afraid. There's issues, emotional issues around that, baggages that are coming up that now are sort of cleared. You're more mature around. You can be more grown up about it. That would be Aries. And then you've got Taurus in your third. Wait, where did I put Taurus? Sorry.
I think
for Aries, Taurus in their second house. So major shifts and big pivot coming in your financial income, how you make your money. I've had eclipses on my second house. It literally changed the way I made my income, like snap. And the nodes are basically a sort of drawn out playing of the eclipse. So there you go. That's for Aries, I think. And Aquarius is in your fifth house or 11th house. So friendships, peer groups, there might be some blockages from friends groups or on social media, or information coming through that you have to redo something there, recommit to a friendship or a relationship. 11th house kind of energy there.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to move on to Taurus.
Yes.
Taurus. So you're having a lot, man. You Taurus people are really, they've got Uranus in their first house. This is if you're ascendant Taurus, and your sun Taurus, you're going to be very impacted by this, but ascendant Taurus has Uranus, the north nodes, Venus in your first house. I mean, your life is completely different. But this is going to be the case for Gemini too, because they've got the new moon there. But with Taurans, something's going to shake them up big around their perceptions of finances and money, and I mean, I'm just really curious to see how Taurans are going to change during this period, because Uranus in your first house for a long time. I mean, that's like, I think it's a 30-year, 40-year in one sign. So, oh no, 8 years in the sign. I'm sorry, 8 years in the sign. So Taurans are going to become very strong, very independent, very technologically sort of leaders in the health world. And so they're very tilted here to take, probably to live their Jupiter more. I think maybe this is happening in the sign of Taurus so much because Taurans are most fixed. They're they're the least likely to take risks, the least likely to step out of a comfort zone with their career, you know? So they're sort of going to be pushed into being not so comfort zone, I would say.
You said this was mostly ascendant and then sun. So what about those who have a Taurus moon? Not quite as strong energetically.
Oh no,
speaking?
if you have Taurus anywhere in your chart, this is power, or fixed signs. This is a right now the skies are very powerfully lit up in the house of Taurus. So wherever your planets you have it a fixed sign squaring or aspecting, these are major shifts and changes. I'm going to do a major card read because I want to know what's going to change for me in Saturn. But so
when I feel like those who have Taurus and Scorpio in their charts have been really knocked and battered about these past few weeks. It's not been an easy go.
Yeah. And they're really changing relationships really radically, really discovering, knowing what their toxic. I actually do have a friend that's Scorpio. She just completely ended all her toxic work type jobs, just like in one day. She just went, that's it, right on the eclipse. Scorpio eclipse. She said, no more working for toxic people. Boom. And she quit her job, all of them, bam. And then next day she got her job she'd always dreamed of having, which was working on this farm of a really organic, wonderful woman. She'd always dreamt of that. Like, wouldn't it be wonderful? And boom, that's where she started working, like literally the next day.
That is so amazing. Crazy?
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfect example of, okay, making a decision. This is what feels right to me. It may seem crazy, but I just know I have to do it. And then bam, what it is that you're really aligned with and what's set up for you can come into the story.
The only reason you haven't been doing that is because you've had a deep scorpionic fear or an illusionary, traumatic, it's usually based in trauma, illusionary reality based in trauma, that you can't live your true happy life, that you've got to continue the trauma life on some level. You got to play it out more. That your fears around that are still, you know, powering and running your show, which is why these full moons occur, these eclipses, so that you come out of that.
Yeah.
All
right. So what else for Taurus? Is there anything else for them? So they're going to be.
Well, Venus is in their house right now. So lovely possible 1, 2, 3, 4. I see a possible romance returns during this Mercury retrograde for you guys. Gemini in Taurus for Taurus is in your second house. So communication coming in that shifts and changes, a way of earning money that is, again, trine by Pluto. It is going to be for your highest good. That's really good, Taurus. This is great for money for Taurus. I really think so because of this Jupiter, because of the trine. Mercury trining Pluto and Mercury being in your second house of finances. So good news around money. So there's a breakthrough. This is all about breaking through, and it's not fun, but some sort of restructuring around your finances or money that enables you to be more liberated after this, when Mercury goes stations direct, and a way of making money will start going forward that's been blocked possibly from the past. You know, there's definitely, now the reason things are coming back from the past to redo and come over is because they're significant for the future. So it's very good chance it's a way of earning money that you tried from before that was blocked because you weren't mature enough. You then have to face it, you're triggered, but you can go forward because you're going to grow up around it. You've made the adjustments, you have matured, some of these lower density fear-based energies are now purged from that full moon eclipse. What were we just doing? Gemini in the second house. That's right. See, my brain. Well, when we get to Cancer, we'll see why.
And I'm not a whole lot better today either. So like between the two of us, we'll just
Mercury,
say we're sorry already, just ahead of time for everyone. We're doing the best we can here.
And Mercury in Taurus is not its best, most articulate, clear way of energy. So
Yeah.
as you just heard. Okay. So now Gemini, right?
Yes.
Gemini, this is your whole, so whenever you get a new moon in your sign, on your ascendant, this is a brand new beginning. This is seated right now. That's going to shift and change your future. And Mercury, by the way, Uranus is a higher octane of Mercury. You have Taurus in your 12th house. So Gemini have been reevaluating themselves for ever since the nodes entered their 12th house about how they do want to make money. And remember, the 12th house is Venus, it's pleasure, it's arts, it's creative, it's beauty, it's health. So everybody with the nodes in Taurus are shifting to a more abundant way, healthy way that's pleasing, that a quality of life. So Gemini are really going deep to explore what shifts and changes. And with Aries over their 11th house, expansion around meeting people, internet, social media, ideas coming through, but like communications, projects possibly going through involving the social media network or trend or friends groups, but actually it's a really nice house to have Aries in right now with all these planets in it. So really good things are going forward, wins, gains, people knowing you, becoming more well-known, but adjusting your entire perceptions and perspectives about how to live, because you're having a new moon on your ascendant. So you're really reevaluating who you are and how you want to go forward. And ideas are coming back from the past that you wanted to do before, because this is more internal experience for Gemini. This is like when a new moon on you is like, you're really shifting and there's seated. This is a new seeding period for when I had a new moon on my ascendant. My whole life pretty much changed, but actually I also happened to have the nodes on my ascendant at that time too. But we really are seeding a new beginning with new ideas, possible new businesses. But again, with that trining, Mercury is also trining Pluto, you've gotten over a big fear that now blesses your finances.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that was Gemini with Taurus in their 12th house, but it's going to come from you. It's an internal thing. It's not as much things coming from the past as much it is you having downloads, you becoming more awakened, you becoming more brave, more stepping up your game because this is new ideas and businesses and again, that make you money better, expand you.
So would you say for Gemini, that's going to be, are they more like practical ideas, or is it more spiritually oriented ideas, or combination of the two?
I'd say combination of the two is a good way to look at it. And I agree that it will be practical, but in the sense that it will be aligned with their true soul calling, because the 12th house makes you very connected to your soul. You're very, it's soul searching, it's in depth, and Mercury retrograde is your sign, Gemini. So with Mercury in retrograde, you're going deep, you're reevaluating your truth, your soul, and it's in Venus, with Venus being in Taurus, and with Mercury, your planet, ruling planet, currently being in Taurus. It's about money and quality of life. And how can you go forward in a way that's really deeply fulfilling, that creates a really high quality of life for you, but unblocks you in some way wherever Aquarius is in your house. So for Gemini, Aquarius is 9th house. That's been either blocking travel or ideas. It's like a big opening up of beliefs. Information could come in that really widens your spiritual belief too, which is that sometimes spiritualism just means that you are universally supported enough to step into your mission, which could be to renovate houses in an eco-friendly way, something like that. So it basically, Jupiter just means, spiritualism just means making the world better for everybody else,
Yeah, I had someone in mind when I was asking that question, because her birthday actually happens to fall on the full moon in June. And so I kind of feel, I kind of feel like this new moon, it obviously is laying the foundation for the full moon, but it's particularly important for this person because of some changes that may take place that may come from a different spiritual perspective of like, oh, wow, I never saw it this way. And now that I'm able to look at it from this perspective, it just opens up so many other avenues that they perhaps would not have known before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because yeah. Okay.
I
Very
mean,
interesting.
this is really Mercury squaring Saturn. You could call it mind opening, mind blowing, mind cracking, like rigidity,
Yeah.
Okay.
Cancer.
Cancer, us Cancer people, we are having this Gemini in our 12th house, which is why most Cancer people right now are, and especially with Mercury being in Taurus, which is not its strength, in retrograde, which was at our 12th house, which still has that resonancy, I guess. It's a very introspective soul searching period where you're really, and this is very true because I'm really reevaluating how I want to do I've never really had clarity on my YouTube channel. I'm still trying on that journey. I've been on it for a while, trying to figure out how I feel like I can come forward in a way that's useful. There's so much out there right now with all the 12 signs. I mean, I like doing this. This to me is different and more interesting, but there's so many astrologers with every single sign every month, and they're just amazing that they can do it. I don't know how they do it, but anyway.
It
so
is
I'm trying
a lot.
to what?
It is a lot.
And they work really hard. I mean, I'm impressed with them, but it's like, I got to do what's right for me. And so I'm reevaluating the way that goes forward. That's individually, uniquely my best way, not because I want to be different, but because I want to be able to consistently do it, because we're talking about the squaring to Saturn. So I got to find a way that I can be consistent. And that's the success on social media, is consistency, which I fail. I'm not great at, but I have to find a way I can be consistent. So that's what I'm really deeply looking at, that, like who am I in this field, this vast field that many people are in. So Cancer are really going in deep and soul connecting with their soul directing and ideas coming in. But then communication could also come in, because let's look at Cancer with Taurus being in your 11th house. Fantastic for Cancer, with Aries over their 11th or 10th, depending on if you're doing whole sign. Aries is 10th, Taurus is the 11th. Fabulous energies, because the 11th is lucky gains. So this, even though it's squaring my Saturn during this Uranus nodes conjunction, what we're building up to with this node, this new moon is resolving something from the past that will now go forward, that will be very abundant for you, that was blocked because you were immature. So the 11th house could be a project involving people, other groups, friendships, new friendships. I've met a whole new group of people in the town nearby and doing parties. It's very fun. And then with that, and that's career, because that's your 10th house, Aries, but Taurus over your 11th house, Cancer, is really great money. I mean, and again, because we have that squaring of my Saturn, but the squaring of Mercury squaring Saturn, it's going to shift your career. And then at the end, and it's possible Saturn is in your 8th house, so it might cost you money, or it might continue to make you feel, the blockages of that house, Aquarian house, will still continue until I think a couple weeks into June. So things will really start opening up for Cancer, but it's going to open up through the 11th house, through that amazing energy in your 11th house with Taurus there, and then Aries in your 10th house. Your career is getting a big boost. Watch out, you're going to be working hard. That's why when I was talking at the beginning, we were talking about those quiet energies. We are supposed to sort of be a little quiet with Mercury and that retrograde and that Taurus energy, sort of grounding us a little bit, because we are going to be busier soon in mid-June. I think things are going to be with things, because of these tilted directions, things opening up are going to make people busy. Gemini is a busy energy. I keep forgetting to mention that. So that was Cancer. Let me just take a look. So Taurus, we looked at Taurus, Pisces, the 9th house, Gemini, 12th house. So introspective downloads coming, clarity coming. So that also, it's your solar return. If your sun is in Cancer, you're having what they call the solar reset, which means you're really starting a whole new year now. And your new year, which is a new upgrade of who you were last year. So clarity about how to do that, how to grow, how to expand more, is coming in during this for Cancer.
All right.
All right.
That is.
All right,
Leo?
good gumdrops. Leo, fiery, creative, passionate, heart-centric Leos. Watch out. This Gemini new moon is in your 11th house. So new beginnings and new instigations and a revisit of a project from the past that involves social media, that involves getting out there. That may have been blocked before, you weren't mature enough, but information comes through that tells you how you have to do it to unblock it. You don't like it. And it might push you because Saturn is sort of the boss. So you sort of have to. It's an opportunity comes in though, that communication comes in, or maybe it gives you clarity how to straighten something out. Or something wants to go forward, but that block continues. So ideas and things come out to sort of shift that block. But there is definitely progression and new beginnings occurring in your 11th house, and you've got Taurus over the 10th house. So big career changings happening for you guys on this nodal aspect that's coming up. Something very significant will change about your career and how you're known. So depending on your chart, whether what other aspects are going on, it could be for good or for worse. If it's for worse, it's because you're in the wrong career, or there really is a major shift and change you have to take, which means that something much better will be around the corner. Now, Leo, Gemini, new moon, 11th house, you could have a lucky gain. Something from the past comes back that you weren't mature enough is a lucky gain that squares your Saturn, which means you shift and tilt your direction, but you have to be more mature about it. And it could be blocked and frustration and annoying, but it's resolved and becomes an integral new part of your new future. That's with Gemini. That's Taurus in the 11th house. So you really, and by the way, that's a really good energy for Taurus in your 10th house with career for Leo. My son is Leo and Cancer. He's going to have a very good period right now.
Oh, good for him.
It comes with frustrations and irritations and leveling up your game. That's the other thing. You have to grow up more to be able to reap the reward. You have to mature, which means you're not self-centered.
That seems to be a theme, the maturity.
Yeah, it is.
And so you're equating maturity to no longer being quite so self-focused, self-centered.
Yes, right. Because usually it's the reason we have immaturity is emotional. So emotional inability to be strong enough, because in order to do the Saturn and to do our missions, we have to have emotional strength. We have to have emotional stability. Mm-hmm. And if you're too thrown off by what people say, because if you have, so Taurus over the 11th house for Leo, you would have had issues about what people think of you, or something would have held you back that was based in your wounding. That makes you immature because you're still emotionally volatile in that environment or with that project. You're still a child emotionally. It's still, you're not capable of you can have your emotional experience and handle it and then stay in mind focus on the objective, that kind of a thing. Whereas the emotional world is too unstable. In Vedic, they believe the moon is where you're successful upon maturity when you get older. But when you get older, what that really means is you found emotional stability through your struggles. You've learned how to emotionally stabilize yourself. And so we can't really go forward that's this chart with a Cancer at the bottom and a Capricorn at the top, which is Saturn, is upon emotional strength. We then have the strength up here because your emotional center is that chakra in the center. It has strong walls holding you up, your emotional strength. And so then you are able to become a strong force in your career and in your 10th house. So maturity comes upon releasing your own personal emotional experience around it all.
Would you also go so far as to say if somebody is maybe looking to make a career shift or a change and they're, they keep, banging on the same doors, trying to make it work and it's not working, that is a definite sign that you're banging on the wrong doors.
Yes.
Shift what you're focused on. This is a perfect time for clarity to be had in order for you to focus on what you're really truly aligning with. Yeah.
Yes. You will be blocked if where you're trying to go is not in alignment with this north nodal shift that's occurring for everybody.
Yeah.
And it is because it is in healthy Taurus, which is fabulous, but it could be bad. It could play out really bad. There could be a crisis, a financial crisis. It's hard for me to know. I have to throw cards on it. How bad of it is. I'd have to go deeper and look, but it like I say, there's a range. You can experience it, your frustration just inside yourself, and then just calm down and go meditate, or you act it out. So we might see an extreme act out. There could be, with this Jupiter and Mars conjunction, there could be some sort of explosion or violence. I mean, that school thing kind of happened around that conjunction. So there could be violence, extreme outbursts, and within you too.
Yeah.
Or a passionate sort of fired up thing happened, like impulsiveness. So everybody just needs to watch out right now. Take it easy. I'd be really careful driving in these next couple weeks, take it slow. So, but the reason this all happens is so we let go a little bit so that we can adjust to the new destiny.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's all good. That's all moving us towards.
The strength card shows. See the strength card, and I'll explain the strength card. That's Leo, and we are just doing Leo. Isn't that interesting? And Leo has Gemini over their 11th house, so they've got to stay positive. You see, the affinity sign means taking control of your mind by calming the upset, calming the stressed out state, putting you
gently. It's a gentle power.
Right.
It's not this like overpowering power.
Yeah.
So
that hopefully is clear and helpful for you guys, Leo.
Yes.
Aren't you Leo? Right. Aren't you Leo?
Yes. Oh yeah. Totally resonates.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Virgo people. All right. So you have Taurus over your 9th house, Gemini over your 10th. That's kind of nice, but also possibly challenging. So career frustrations, barriers around your career, ideas you had that didn't work. You might still be trying to force it or push some sort of career option through, but information comes in that says, no way, Jose, on that career. But then a new idea comes in, in 2 weeks, something. So let's see where your Aquarius is in your chart. So Virgo have Aquarius over their 6th house. So again, a blocking thing on a work project or something that has been blocked and frustrating and hasn't been happening is now going to start happening. Communication coming in from there that opens up a work opportunity that then goes forward mid-June. But so where do we have Taurus for you guys? Virgo has Taurus over their 9th house, possible travel involved, and involving finances, involving travel. So this is going to upgrade your finances. So it's going to be better than what you thought. So Mercury comes in and says, not that. Mercury squaring Saturn is going to tell you this isn't the job, this is the job, or your information about it, or what you've known, or what you've been doing is wrong, and now you got to correct it. So it might be tough. You could get fired, Virgo, but if you do, it's because there's something better. You got to get out of there. It's not right. Like my friend who quit her job that was toxic. So there is a new beginning for you, a brand new beginning in the cycle of your career house here. So
nice.
Yeah. Oh, now to the sign of Libra. Libro. All right. Libras, they have Taurus. They had the eclipse in Scorpio on their 2nd house, and which is finances, but they now have 8th house. Everything's changing for Libra in their finances, other people's money, fears. They have the Taurus eclipse in their 8th house. They have Venus, they have Mercury in their 8th house right now. They have Gemini. So for Libras, they're going to have they've had a belief system that's been blocking them. They've had a rigid belief because they have Taurus over their 9th house and they're having Uranus transiting that 9th house. They are literally going to have a total and utter major huge shift in belief. They're going to become spiritual. They're going to become something very big is going to open up for Libra in their consciousness because they have Gemini over their 9th house. They're going to suddenly want to communicate and talk about new beliefs, or they're going to have a whole new, they're going to want to learn about it. Maybe they might even start learning about astrology, Libra, or they might want to start jumping into something new and explore traveling ideas. They may want to start really traveling new ideas. Traveling has been blocked for Libra. They might get information about an idea to travel from the past that's currently blocked, and they have to unblock it. There's something you have to do with finances. Maybe they decide to sell a property, and then they then can unblock the desires to travel, but also maybe a spouse, because the 8th house is a spouse, other person's finances, or a refi comes through and enables you to sort of liberate. Because where do you have, and you have Aquarius. Libra has Aquarius over their 5th house. So relationships could open up for them, that communication from relationships could open up. That could enable them to joint finances, because the 8th house is joint finances, which then enables them to travel. But also the 5th house is creative projects. So Libra with the 5th house, so creative project could open up for you. But remember, wherever you have Aquarius is going to open up after this. That square is going to shift that blockage, communication, argument, something comes in and unblocks an area that's blocking your Aquarian house.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
It does.
Libra?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
So yeah, because Taurus for Libra is in your 8th house. So these huge shift and changes, the nodes there, something very big is shifting. You could get an inheritance. There might be arguing and fighting over it with family members, Gemini communication, fighting over unfairness around finances. But then June 15th, it opens up. All right, so let's take a try now and look at Scorpio. Fabulous Scorpio. Wow, who've been going through the spin cycle in the washer machine.
Yes.
In these eclipses.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, so Gemini for Scorpio is your 8th house. And so new beginnings that could be another relationship transit for Scorpio, because if new beginnings in joint finances or somehow other people's money comes in. I do know a Scorpio who just got a couple of checks from tax returns that were really good. So it can play out pretty well. Money came in for her, and other people's resources. So outside money, you could go into joint business or joint mission or joint project and share resources, or you could get an inheritance. But with that, Mercury is in your 8th house, the new moon in your 8th house, Taurus in your 7th house of relationships, a relationship from the past, communication coming in from the past that takes a relationship forward again. But there could be a lot of very toxic communication or a lot of toxicity in the past that caused a separation, can come back and then be cleared. But this is a Taurus in your 7th house, financial arrangements that really expand, that's really pleasant, it's a better relationship, something expands and goes forward, that's better. Gemini in your 8th house, financial assistance coming in, or you go into debt, but I would say you get out of debt more than anything, because we're really going into a new beginning, building up to something that opens up your destiny, your true destiny. So I would say there's improvement, but I'm trying to work out how that square is going to work out with that Mercury squaring your 8th house, information that could be upsetting about debt or money or other people's resources, or somebody could pass away. You might find out that somebody passed away, the 8th house with this new moon, information coming in.
Is that where the inheritance may come in? It's like
exactly.
Someone passes away and then you receive a financial benefit from it.
Yeah, I did a read for someone once who had a similar transit, and they said, well, I get this, their husband passed away. or not, it was a boyfriend, they weren't together, but she wasn't, they were kind of together, but she wasn't sure if he was going to leave or anything. And I said, you are most definitely, because she had a trine, by the way, a trine to Pluto, very similar. And he did leave her a whole house. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was a good thing. And then she able to sell it. She was able to get a whole nother, it was all sold off. I mean, it ended up being a really nice deal for her. So she has another great place, but so it could be that.
Yeah.
For Scorpio. So yeah, but also fears. Eighth house, you're going to be triggered. Something very fearful could occur that triggers your fears, you know, but or could trigger your fears around finances. You could have a real big fear around your money, and then you go into massive action and you reestablish yourself financially somehow. So that can happen too. All right. Sagittarius, I am sun sign Saggy. So we've got Taurus in your 6th house. So you guys are, and then we've got Gemini for Sagittarius over their 7th house of relationships. So a new relationship coming in, communication, somebody from the past. This is a very strong reconciliation energy, someone from the past, arguments, issues coming back up. You're going to become very aware of an issue about you that was immature about that situation. You may feel really upset about it, or you know, you might find out a truth that, let me go look at Sagittarius. Where does Taurus, 6th house? Hidden enemies can be 6th house, but something balances out around communication, around relationships, for refixing, rehashing, re-talking, that involves also work project, because we're looking at the 6th house as well, because don't forget Mercury is in the 6th house for Sagittarius, but also your health issues are going to come up for recommitting to, or possible information that shifts, that makes you change something about your day-to-day around your health. And then what let's see about Aquarius falls. So your blockages is around communication, ideas of business going forward. That's going to open up, but there might be information coming in, communication coming in 3rd house, squaring your 3rd house. So information that triggers you around your fears, around, let's have a look, Sagittarius 3rd house, around possible friendship groups or information about, because Aquarius is like groups, finances, not finances, but communication groups, businesses, friendship groups. So maybe communication from sort of through friendships comes through that triggers you, makes you want to change something or end a commitment. But then because in the house of Gemini is your 7th house, so mid-June, a relationship could start going forward for you after you deal with some sort of verbal or confusion, information, gossip or something, you know, from 11th house is gossip. So, but something gets cleared out, things go forward, but it may be painful and triggery. And you have Taurus, Sagittarius has Taurus over the 6th house. So that's going to take your career forward, Taurus over your 6th house. So you're going to start, it's going to clear there's going to be more abundance on a day-to-day level through this. So it's going to shift your career and work so that you become more abundant. New beginnings are occurring, massive shifts and changes in a work-related area, because the 6th house is day-to-day work. So your living routine is going to change after this, with this North Node, Uranus conjunction. So for Sagittarius, their whole lives are going to completely change on a day-to-day level, like they move something big, like they change their day-to-day level, like a whole new routine will come in. But for Saggies, blockages around a way that you like to work. Like for instance, my son, he's Sag sun. So I'm trying to think of a Sagittarius ascendant. I know. Okay. Sagittarius ascendant. I know one. She's got, so yeah, interesting, frustrating blockages around projects involving partnerships. That's exactly what she's going through. And something is going to shift around it. Information is going to come in that's going to make her shift the foundation of this project. And I work with her. So we did start this project on the Scorpio eclipse. It was the first time we did it together. It was a retreat. And so she's reevaluating how she structures this. So information is going to come in that makes her want to rechange something about doing this.
Oh, that's
So it's more
interesting.
abundant. Yeah. So it's more abundant for her. But I also think so it's less hard work for her because it was too much work for her. I tried to help her not to work so hard, but she's a perfectionist. She wants everyone to be happy. So it's good. All right. I hope that was clear for Sagittarius.
Yes.
All right. Capricorn. Hello, Capricorn. So for Capricorn, we are looking at, yeah, so Capricorn have had money blocked in their second houses. They've had a lot of blockages in their finances in their second house because they have Aquarius over their second house, which is tough. So now they're going to have Taurus over their fifth. So creative project going forward involving relationships or just a creative project, but they have Taurus over their fifth house, which is really good money. A whole thing shifting. By the way, Capricorns, if you're of childbearing age, you could get pregnant with Taurus over your fifth house easily, but Gemini over your sixth house, information, communication coming in. This is a very busy energy. Capricorns are going to be very, very busy. It's like double busyness. Gemini's busy. The sixth house is busy. It's both houses ruled by Mercury, very active, information, writing, ideas, work, job, changing, work. This is preparing you for that big shift coming in the fifth house, which I think most Capricorns are here to learn to be more creative and not so Capricornian. And this is all happening in their creative house. So Capricorns are going to step up and something really great is going to go for them. They're going to love it because Capricorns need that. They know it. They do. So some kind of financial project involving creativity is going to go forward. So communication from the past around a project that was initiated a while ago is coming back because now you're more mature and more capable of doing it, the Capricorn. And it involves communication. Remember, Mercury is running this whole show, and it's going to clear up and go forward mid-June around this project. It's a project. It could, now children are creative projects, so you could decide to get pregnant. I mean, it's a metaphor, right? So something involving your relationships, most likely friendships and relationships, most likely romantic, I would say. And so they have Aries over their fourth house, they may move, but with Taurus over their fifth house for Capricorn, they're definitely making a pivotal shift in somehow financial things going forward, a new project, work day to day that is going to make them money, but has been blocked and now is no longer blocked in mid-June. And it brings them towards this new faded twist thing that's happening in August.
So some twists.
Getting you ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now Aquarius. So you guys have Taurus over your fourth house. So it's funny because I do know an Aquarius who's Airbnb-ing a lot and buys properties. So frustrations and challenges around these projects, information coming in around some kind of a blockage in that might have been very expensive. That might have been a real problem, blocked because you weren't supposed to go that way or do it that way or move that way or go to that place, coming in, and new communication coming in that clears up that blockages, but that lets you know you got to change your mind. You got to make a different decision. You got to go a different way and go towards, because Gemini is your fifth house. That's a creative solutions, more creativity, information, ideas, writing projects, maybe a creative writing project, Gemini over your fifth house. Wow, Aquarians ought to do creative writing projects because they have Gemini over your fifth house. Yeah. And so like perhaps a revisit to an old project from the past, a writing project with friends, because fifth house is friends, or a retrograde communication around a creative project, ideas. Taurus in your fourth house, a complete and utter shift and change, something to do. You're probably going to move by the end of August for Aquarians. I mean, something in their fourth house, or I mean, they sell a property or they become but by the way, this Uranus North Node transit is going to make everyone financially liberated in a very big step towards that. And it involves technologies, the internet, social media. So however we can expand ourselves ourselves through the internet, social media is going to be very the way to go. It's the way the doors are open right now. So Aquarius in the 4th, Gemini in the 5th, creative project that makes you money, possibly from home, involving home. You could start buying a property and become a creative designer, and you put it on internet, social media. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like kind of the overarching theme has to do with blocks that are tied to maturity, and making sure that we're lined up with whatever it is that that we were once immature about, that now we're ready for, and we can step into it in a different way. Right. So I guess we'll find out if Pisces is following along suit with everybody else.
Yeah, and in my time, it's 111, right? As you say that, and 111 really literally means everybody alignment with God, going up, like aligning with God, rather than another person or the matrix. Or so all these energies are trying to align us to our true calling, our true mission. Yeah. Okay, Pisces, fabulous Pisces. My moon is Pisces. So you guys have Taurus 3rd house, Gemini in the 4th house. You might move. Gemini in the 4th house, new beginnings, communication coming in around property, real estate, ideas. You may want to move. You may want to sell a piece of property. Like me, I'm kind of looking at that, selling part of my property. Information coming in, ideas, somebody from the past coming in with an idea around the 4th house that then enables you to go forward, but you're not sure. There's going to be blocks and blocks around it that aren't clear, and you don't want to push forward on selling properties or making contract decisions until after this retrograde, because you want to see what goes forward after this. You want to see what unblocks before you make any big decisions, because something's going to unblock and open up and go forward. So you want
we got a ding of confirmation on that.
Right.
Like, wait to see what unblocks before making a decision or making a move.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And not to rush too fast with these energies. These energies, the Jupiter and the Mars conjunction, are to help us really motivate and to go forward. But we got to not let it, it's there to open us, to push us. But at the same time, we have to learn how to drive it, like not put the full gas pedal down. Yeah. So for Pisces, Taurus is in the 3rd house, and Gemini. So communication, ideas, short distance travel, things opening up. That Uranus North Node conjunction in your 3rd house is going to possibly make you start a business, or something's going to change about, God, what would that be? That could be a complete and utter change in, I mean, I'm sort of having a block on the 3rd house with that. It's a very, because Uranus is Mercury. What would that be for Pisces, that 3rd house covering Taurus?
Well, I mean, 3rd house is communication. We've got communication happening with Gemini.
Yeah.
So, it feels like there's maybe some communication that comes in, that
it's contracts. I pulled a card on it.
Yeah.
So communication coming in, something that finances, holding money, you're now more emotionally balanced. Remember, we talked about that. There's involving twin flame or letting go. So in other words, a project involving your divine mate, or someone that you felt you had a romantic entangled with that you weren't emotionally mature enough to be in this kind of a relationship that is real and true, or all that. Communication comes in that enables you to take things forward in a project that was related to that person, but you weren't emotionally mature enough to handle that relationship. You had to let go of something. You had to let go of an attachment around it. But then we get this contract or commitment involved. So a contract could now be signed. But you want to wait till after this retrograde. But information communication coming in that enables things to go forward after that, a work project that goes forward. And the reason, I don't know, I got a relationship card with it because, Taurus in the 3rd house, we have Venus. Pisces have had a lot of relationship energy going on with all these planets. Venus was in Pisces, so seeds would have been planted for and then Aquarius is over your 12th house. So a relationship seeds are planted. A lot of people don't know that we planted a lot of seeds during this period and during that Pisces end of last month that we can't see. You know, the dirt still covers the leaf there, and but the Pisces energy is very seated. There's a lot of good going up in people's charts wherever Pisces is, and they can't see it yet. Because a lot of people I do reads for, I'm going, oh my gosh, this is going to be fantastic. They go, I don't see anything. So just hang in there. It's under the dirt.
I think isn't that the case oftentimes, you know, that there's all this beauty that we don't see, and we're like, well, I want to see it. Where is it? You know,
yeah, well, if you look back at the nodes 18 years ago, when the nodes were in this position before, when we had these eclipses before, I didn't know what was around the corner. There was like an amazing whole chapter of my life around that corner that I look back at. It was just so fantastic. And it was activating my 11th house, my 5th house, the creativity in my career. And I started a gallery with a group of friends, and it did really well. We did very well. So it was a lot of fun. And I renovated my house at that time. And I have a reoccurring theme with the nodes about house, property, and real estate renovation, because my nodes in the 4th is in Cancer. So my repeat theme in nodal transits or cycles is property. And at that point, I started remodeling my property. So I had enough money. I refinanced I had Aquarius over my 8th house, you know, so maybe I can refinance and then now start building a project, because that's Pisces I have Pisces moon, and that's with this Taurus Gemini over the 4th house. So information, ideas coming in that enables me to take a building project forward. So it could be I refinance or I get money to build or something. And I have Saturn in my 8th house of other people's money. That's going to be unblocked. So some kind of a financial assistance or help or inheritance is going to come in. That's going to unblock my ability to go forward. I mean, I unblock my abilities. Yeah, so. Because it's my nodes, because and maybe on this nodal shift, I literally get to start building, who knows, something crazy like that. But that's how big this nodal shift comes. It's like, wow, it's something, boom, is going to happen. Like,
so, and that goes for everybody.
Yes.
You know, everybody. Yeah. Everybody
want to know. Yeah. You want to pull your charts and find out where you have Gemini and Taurus, because Taurus, you for sure want to know. That's big in everybody's chart, wherever that's covering.
Yeah. Big stuff. Well, wow. I feel like we crammed a lot into today's.
There's a lot going on.
Live. Yeah. And I think considering both of our headspaces, we did all right.
Yeah. We did. That was fun. I'm glad. I felt it was a calm Mercury and Taurus energy, huh?
Yeah. So, and I think everything that was revealed is perfect for folks listening. They're going to receive the transmission of energy that they need for this upcoming new moon. And
and a little remedy for this Mercury square would be earthing. So you want to ground, get outside barefoot, massage your feet, not push it, let the flow of energies, let Taurus, let Venus, let Jupiter and Mars. You see, I was going too fast. Let Jupiter and Mars energy row the boat, power the boat. You don't have to. That energy enough will power it. Trust it. It'll take you forward. You don't have to push it right now.
Yeah.
Fire energy, knowing how to drive fire energy is secret to success, because you just use it. If you use it right, it motivates you and it pushes you forward. But if you let it flow out too much, you burn out, you throw yourself off. You just it's like a jet propulsion. You just let the energy just push you forward while you hold it back, pushes you forward. It's a little secret.
I mean, that feels much easier too. You know, that's kind of like, that's the go with the flow sort of feeling versus, you know, controlling and fighting against it.
Resisting it.
Yes. Yeah. So much easier said than done, but
yes,
we'll learn as we go.
Grounding is always, and Mercury, it's electrical. And Uranus is electrical. This is like your grounding is for sure the energy you want to be activating during this time.
Yeah. And be aware too, that your mind may want to run away with you. And so be aware. And I think that's where the grounding is also super important to help you come back into your body, come back into the present moment, Don't
No
let your
negative,
mind,
no negative inner dialogue, guys. Just like watch your inner dialogue. This is reevaluating what you say to yourself, you know, what you say to other people.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. All right, well, Madeleine, thank you as
Thank you.
always.
Thank you, Amalia.
Big
That was
hug.
fun. Big hug.
Yes. Thanks everybody
luck.
for joining us on this cosmic chat for the Gemini new moon. And we will see you back here in 2 weeks talking about the full moon. Holy
Next
smokes.
Gemini full moon. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. All right, everybody.
Lots of love, everybody. Bye, Amalia. Take care.
Bye.